Well, one of the things I always like to start out with is not all celebrities share their story. But what I love about you, Isaac, is you've been open. You were like, this has been my journey. I want to talk more about it. What led you early on to say, I'm going to be an open book? I'm going to share my addiction story. I'm going to be real about what I've been through in my life.
Yeah, you know what? I think I've never considered myself a role model, and I certainly do not ask people to follow my steps in life because I'm only 22 and I'm figuring it out as I go along every day. But I think we as people have an opportunity to help one another on a day-to-day basis. And the worst thing that we can do to other humans is withhold information and withhold wisdom. Because at the end of the day, what we take to our grave is not the money and the things that we buy throughout our lives, but it's all this information and people that we meet and the experiences that we pass on to others. And I think as I started to, even when I was bad and very low, I think there's many nights of connecting with other people and realizing that there is a sense of security in knowing that you're not the only one that's dealt with the things you've dealt with. It doesn't necessarily make it better. It just feels safe. It feels communal. It feels relatable. So I think from that, like throughout time, I think I've realized that if my pain and my experiences and things I've dealt with could offer some sort of guidance or help to young people or older people or really whoever can gain value from what I have to say, I think I have a right to, and I should. I think I have a duty to.
Now, as we go through your story tonight, and I'm going to take us all the way back from the beginning, is it painful to talk about at this point, or are you at a point where it's almost like you've overcome this?
Yeah, I think I actually today posted a video on my socials and I said like, healing isn't linear.
Mm.
There's days that are bad and there's days that are good and there's some wounds that cut deeper than others. And I don't know. I wouldn't say I've achieved like full healing. I'm still figuring stuff out. But I would say like there's a part of me that every time I talk about it, I take away the power that it's had over me in the past. And it's
Mhm.
almost like this release of like pressure and like the hold that it has of like choking me almost. It's like loosening its grip every time I get to talk about it and know that, being here with you today, like being able to share it with other people and talk to people, it's almost like I'm taking control of the thing that once had control over me and using it in a positive way to help others.
Mhm. Wow. I think what just resonated with me when you said it's like taking something that had a chokehold on you. And I know a lot of people who are going through addiction, who even may be watching this, who are struggling, they can relate to that feeling, a feeling like something else has control over your life. But every time you get up and you tell your story or you come on a platform like Addiction Talk, you're able to release that. And it's like you're taking back your power. And I think
Right.
that's so powerful for people to be able to hear because so many people feel shamed by
Of
what
course.
they went through. But you have taken it and said, I feel empowered every time I can share it. Was that off the bat, or did you get to a place where you
No,
were okay
definitely.
and didn't worry about what people thought?
Yeah, definitely felt embarrassed at first. Like being the 22-year-old sober guy definitely was a little bit shameful at first. But as time's gone on, I'm proud. I'm proud that I'm the guy standing in the room that's like, I'm not having a drink because I choose to not have a drink. There was once a time that I was having a drink and I didn't get the choice. My brain was going to do it kind of regardless. It was programmed. It was immediate. And every time I say no to something or every time I'm in those settings and where I used to stay up for 2 to 3 days at a time and I'm going home at 1 and I'm like, wow, late night tonight, back at 1 a.m. going to sleep, waking up the next morning, feeling good. I can sleep off 4 or 5 hours and because I'm young and I'm healthy, I feel good and I can operate and it feels great. It just feels so special that when I get to say to someone like I'm sober, it's almost like me saying I conquered something that once owned me,
Mm.
and I feel pride. And if someone has something negative to say about it, I don't really mind. It's not their journey, it's mine, and my opinion's the only thing that matters to myself.
That's huge, especially for someone who's in the limelight and you have to experience pressures all the time of being in the limelight and having to hear what people say. I think that's so powerful that you've been able to say, what I think about me is most important. And what I think about me is I'm doing well, I've made a conscious choice, and I'm living a new life. So that has to feel good. I imagine
Feels
waking
great.
up every day feeling that. So let's go back.
Yeah.
We remember you, Yo Gabba Gabba, just all of the different
Sure.
characters you've played. You started in this industry when you were 5. Many people are wondering at 5 years old, how did you know you wanted to do this? Was this something you chose to do? Or was this something like your parents are like, he's talented, he needs to be an actor?
Yeah, my dad raised me as a single parent, and I have no brothers and sisters. So my dad was in the industry, and he accomplished a lot of great things. Never, fortunately, was in an era that the things that he was involved in just didn't have the sort of viewership that it would today, or like ability to garner a following. No social media, no nothing. So extremely talented man, but just never quite got to that breakthrough star point. So I think when my dad had me, he knew that he had all this information from years of a career, and that there would be no one else to tell him how to raise his kid, because it was just him and I. And he would put everything he had spent his whole life learning into me, which was the arts. Um, and yeah, I think at the end of the day, like, you don't really know what you want at 5. You're 5. I wanted to be a superhero more than likely. If I had a little job certificate back then that I could have filled out of like dream jobs, it would have been like dress up as Batman and go fight crime. So, um, but yeah, it was interesting growing up young and having the arts pushed into my life from an early age. And yeah, it was interesting for sure.
Was that hard for you? Knowing that you just kinda wanted to be a kid in some ways, but your dad sees this talent in you and he says, "Hey, I'm gonna help you to become this great actor."
Hmm.
But inside, you're thinking, "Oh, I just wanna be a superhero, or I wanna go." I know
Yeah.
you mentioned you loved martial arts, you had other
Right.
ideas. So, what did that feel like to still know that there was, like, that pressure on you to be this great actor?
Um, I think when you're young and you're that age, some people do, and like, bless their hearts that do. The people that just, it was very clear from a young age what they were going to be in this world. Um, I don't think I ever really had quite a concept. I had things that I loved. I loved doing martial arts. I love doing those sorts of things. I loved riding horses, and those facets of life. But I think obviously, my dad took the work very seriously, and music was introduced to my life at a young age. I started playing guitar at 5, and acting around the same age, and then at around 8 or 9, I was pulled out of school and pretty much just homeschooled, and that was the mission. Now, like, let's homeschool and just focus full time on acting. And I think it's tough as the kid to really understand everything that's going on, because when you're a kid, your parents know best. So your parents are just telling you, my dad was just telling me this is what we got to do, and that's what we had to do. There was bills to pay, and we didn't, I didn't grow up privileged or with a lot of money or anything. We definitely relied on my work to make sure that bills got paid. My dad worked really hard on on side jobs and stuff like that. But he had a kid and he was single parent. So, we made that choice of like, let's go into this. The money came slow and there was a lot of years of struggle. So the opportunity for, oh, well, he doesn't really seem to be taking to it, kind of gets thrown out the window because now there's a livelihood, involved.
Did you feel pressure?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely loads of pressure. Yeah, it's funny because looking sitting in the chair that I'm sitting in now and looking back, I found a way to find gratitude for a lot of it. Not all of it, but for a lot of it. I think pressure makes diamonds, and I think it was a lot to put on someone at that age, in one dynamic, and there's probably methods that could have gone about it better, but also it does feel good to be someone at my age group, or even when I was 18, and to have a pretty clear idea of career path and career opportunity, so I don't like just sitting down, just like complaining and being, oh, well, boo hoo me, it's not fair. I got to be on a bunch of shows and do incredible things that a very small percent of people get to experience. That's definitely not it. That I felt a lot of pressure, definitely. That I, looking back, am grateful for some of the decisions that were made for me. Definitely. I'd say a lot of it was just how it was conducted and went about, that I think if I could change anything, those are the things I would change.